welcome to Ruvheneko Online. This week's episode is brought to you by POTRAZ. POTRAZ is our regulator, our telecoms regulator here in Zimbabwe. Many of us that do what we do have to comply to them, and many of us out there have to comply in one way, shape, or form. They regulate and they also collect tariffs based on our usage of telecoms, anything telecom. And we're grateful for them for awarding us this opportunity to be able to talk about key issues in the ICT sector. Now, 2 weeks ago, they hosted two very important days on the IT calendar, which is World Telecoms Day, as well as Women in ICT. And to join me in the discussion today, we have two women who are trailblazing in IT in Zimbabwe. Now, this is something that's rare because it's still a sector that's largely male-dominated. And they're here with us today because they are doing things, they're making waves, they are getting awards, they are, empowering other young women, not just in urban areas, but all over the country. So I want to thank you both for joining me. Let me introduce you both. First, we have Aretha Mare. Aretha is the founder of Tech Women Zimbabwe, and your profile is quite long, but I do know that you're working a lot with women in ICT and using the STEM program as well to implement IT, correct?
Yes.
And Aretha is also the Leadership Council member for Women Enhancing Technology in Africa. So you're not just working in Zimbabwe, you're all over.
Yeah.
And then she's also the co-founder of Impact Hub Harare. And Harare's got a lot of hubs going on right now, whether they're creative, whether they're tech, whether they're fashion, but it's definitely a new trend that's taken over, quite exciting. And then she's also the international first global robotics team leader for Zimbabwe. Yeah. So robotics, what does that mean? Are you building machines?
So basically a robot is something that is able to do follow instructions autonomously. So what we're working on with First Global is just assembling a team of Zimbabwean students between 15 and 18 who are going to compete in Washington, D.C. this July, together with participants from 160 nations from all over the world.
Okay.
So they're working to build a robot that is helping to solve a water access issue.
I like that, and very pertinent, not just to Zimbabwe, but many countries.
Yeah.
That access to sanitation. It speaks to some of our SDGs, our Sustainable Development Goals, which we are also going to be looking at in light of this program. So particularly SDG 5 and SDG 8. So we're going to get into a little bit more of that. And then last but not least, of course, our other guest is Marlene Mangami. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Marlene was voted onto the Python Software Foundation Board of Directors. How old are you?
I'm 24. I just turned 24.
Oh, wow, and you're on a board of directors. What is the general age group of this board in general?
Definitely older than 24. I think generally I would say people are most likely in their 40s, but I'm not completely sure.
Look at you. And Marlene is also the founder of ZimboPi, an organization that teaches girls how to code.
Yeah.
In the programming language, Python, which is a club in Mufakosi. And she's also the co-founder and teacher at ESB Kids Coding Club in Borrowdale, and also the co-founder of the Purple Lipstick Trust, which is a non-profit trust based in Harare that seeks to empower young women. No, it's good to have you, and I can't wait to find out a little bit more and unpack that. But just before we get into the crux of our program and our discussion with our two ladies, here's the news.
By yesterday, 12 people were confirmed killed in the huge fire that ripped through a West London tower block. But police expected the death toll to rise. Up to 600 people were believed to be inside the building that hosts 120 flats that went ablaze through the 24-story building in the early hours yesterday. Zim dancehall chanter Sir Colors allegedly assaulted his partner Moira Knight after she took a look at his phone and asked him for his password. Moira has since moved out of the Waterfalls apartment where the two were staying together and is considering returning to the UK. Zimbabwe introduces an electronic chip passport. Government, through the Registrar General's office, has introduced an electric chip passport in a bid to reduce cases of counterfeit passports. Briefing journalists in the capital recently, Registrar General Tobaiwa Mdede said the move would go a long way in alleviating fraudulent activities at the border posts. Government departments in Namibia have set up a social media accounts and have to have done this by the end of June. If the social media use policy will be used before Parliament and it has to be adopted. The policy sets down rules and guidelines of how government departments will use social media platforms. According to the Herald this week, 3 vendors in Harare have taken the Harare City Council to the civil court after municipal police raided and confiscated their wares, which were not returned upon demand. They are suing council for a collective sum of $1,960.
And welcome back to Ruvheneko Online. As I said, today we are discussing women in ICT. I'm very proud to be a woman and in a way using the ICT space, but not nearly in the capacity that our 2 guests have. I mean, they are proper trailblazing wizards, proper movers, shakers, and they know exactly what they're going to be sharing with us today regards IT. So we're going to get a little bit more of that. But I want to thank the people that made this show happen. POTRAZ, as I said, our Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, and also Davies Events, which is a corporate event management company in Zim that offers services such as power lighting and stage setup. Their website is daviesevents.com. I also want to thank Sonia's Events for our decor. Sonia's Events, they specialize in equipment hire and decor for all your individual and corporate functions, and they're located at 2 Door Valley in Borrowdale. And they're also Sonia's Events on Facebook. That's Sonia, S-O-N-I-A. And then Setum Solutions, who's our research partner there. They're helping us with their innovative and cost-effective market research. Website is setomsolutions.com. But as I said, it's about the ladies in studio today. So let me come back to you. With the work that POTRAZ is doing, they are working on an innovation fund that is going to be rolled out across the country to assist young women and girls in basically enhancing their dreams where tech is concerned. How much are you feeling the impact of this rollout?
It's actually a welcome move. Last year I was in Accra for a Women in Tech Summit, and it is one of the recommendations that we put because women are coming up with innovations and they need support. So it's actually a welcome move. And in terms of Zimbabwe, I'm yet to see the results from since they've just started. Like I saw the call just a month ago. So I'm excited about it, but also I think they can also reach out to the hubs that are in Zimbabwe because they are working with the entrepreneurs. Like I noticed that they were recurring that the businesses provide a business plan. And these are some of the services that hubs are offering. So it will be a good thing for POTRAZ, I think, to also reach out to the people that are working with the entrepreneurs so that when they reach out to the stage, they're at a higher level.
Sure. I like this, and I think the fact that you know that they're there and that this is available. I want to ask you, do you also feel that you're feeling the impact of the work POTRAZ is doing? And can you directly say you've benefited from it or that you are seeing the fruits of it down the line?
I can definitely say that I personally have not immediately benefited from the Innovation Fund, but I know that I have worked with some women who have submitted proposals to the fund, and I'm looking forward to seeing those coming to into reality, because I think that it allows women to sort of take that risk of creating startups with technology, and I think it's something that's really great.
Let's get into the surface stuff where IT is concerned, especially as being women in Zimbabwe. I was discussing with you earlier about your studying in Zimbabwe at NUST, and I want to find out, you were 4, you said, out of 15. You were one of the 4 women out of class of 15. And as you've worked and as the years have gone by, have you found that this ratio is getting a bit more balanced, or is it still quite...
Okay, so just looking at my class, I know there are others that are no longer involved in the science field. Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. So
what happens up there?
Okay, so I think by nature, it's a demanding, profession.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to do shift work. And just about when you finish college, you're also starting a family. And trying to balance the two can be quite a challenge. So for most women, if they don't get that enough support, they end up just staying at home or trying something else. So it's actually very sad.
This speaks directly to Sustainable Development Goal 8, which says, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. And if we're finding that in some sectors, I know I can also speak for me, being in the media fraternity, that when it comes to hours, like you've just said, it's often not sustainable for women to work these late hours. So what's the solution? What are we going to do? Do you have to choose? and decide what kind of woman you're going to be? Are you going to be the working woman, or are you going to be the wife? Is there a way we can strike both?
So I think two ways to that I can think of now, like in terms of policy, the incentives that the government can put across for women to sustain themselves in these careers, and also to the individual, like also having a look at your life and sort of like strategically plan. And unfortunately, when you're young, you're not thinking about all these issues. But it's something I've noticed. I've also read profiles of other women because I also want to be motivated. So they, so for some of them, they can concentrate on their school and then start families a little bit later on. For some, they start them early and then concentrate on their studies and careers later on.
Isn't this the exact equality we're trying to reach, where you shouldn't have to choose? You don't see a man sort of sitting there with his boys saying, yo, guys, I don't know if I should start having kids now or push my career, because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect them. I don't know, you're 25. What are your thoughts around career and work? Are you thinking about career, family yet, or are you focused on your career right now?
For me, on a personal level, I'm definitely focused on my career at the moment. I could see myself maybe 2-3 years down the line, you know, maybe getting married and in a family. But I think that it's definitely possible. I would say that it's possible to have a balance between the two, but definitely earlier on when you are starting to establish a career, I would say that to some extent something is going to have to suffer. Yeah.
Says the 25-year-old that it is possible to find a balance. She doesn't have a husband or children yet. Let us know what you think about that. I mean, and we're not just speaking to ICT. Of course, today's topic is about IT, but it's interesting to always spark this debate. We never win it, but it's always curious to know your thoughts. So let us know your thoughts. You can send your comments right now on the platform about what you think about striking a balance. Do women have to choose where they're going to be the wife and mother, or where they're going to be the successful career woman? And I'm pretty sure you can be both, but you can probably be average at both. I don't know if you can be amazing at both, but that's the debate. So let us know your thoughts. So let's come to our conversation, as I said, about IT. So looking at Aretha, what you do predominantly, your key focus is, of course, empowering women in technology. What are the biggest barriers that you found operating in Zimbabwe when trying to elevate other women in IT? What is the biggest challenge that we're facing right now?
Okay, so I think a lack of exposure. Yeah, and a lack of exposure, and then also cultural barriers. Yes, and then in terms of incentives from, I think from a policy perspective, as well as employers themselves, just to ensure that we have women along the pipeline and we don't have fallouts. So those are some of the challenges that we have. I remember one day we went to a school, and we had about 20 students that were studying sciences at A level, and we're asking them what careers they want to do. And most of them, I would say 90%, we're talking about different kinds of doctors, pediatrician, neurosurgeon, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe just a few saying, I want to do mechanical engineering, software engineering. So it's also a lack of knowledge of what is available, what's out there.
But who do we blame for that? I mean, when I was in high school, we had career guidance, but we also sort of had to do your own research about what you want to be when you grow up. Who's building airplanes? You know, who's constructing highways? Who's making tablets? I think we need to definitely expose, but who do we put that on? Is it at home? Is it at school? Is it in the community? Is it Google? You know, who's supposed to educate the young minds? Maybe let's come to the younger mind and say, where do you think that young girls especially get that exposure?
Right. You know, I'm always saying that you can't, it's very difficult for you to become what you can't see. So if girls don't have role models in the tech industry or people who are working in science industries, I don't think that it's easy for them to just think, oh, I'm going to become, you know, a robotics engineer, when they've never seen a woman who is a robotics engineer. And so I think that one thing that we have to do, maybe work on how we're training our girls to see their futures. There's so many amazing women who are doctors and physicians, but I do think that if we are seeing women in the physical sciences like technology, I think we should, you know, like shows like this, lift them up and, you know, expose our young women to these pathways. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Do you want to add anything to that regards?
I'm just thinking about the recent curriculum review.
Yeah.
That they're focusing more on ICTs and hands-on skills. But then
Are you referring to STEM predominantly or in general?
in general, but focusing on STEM.
Right.
But then especially when we're talking about ICT, we were looking at other things that come out of it. And we were asking that, what about the teachers that are going to be training the students? Are they themselves equipped? So we would want initiatives.
And what level are they equipped?
Yeah.
You know, because you'll find some teachers have been in the profession, no offense, you know, but for up to 30 years. Then you want to now be teaching engineering. But when did you last do a refresher course? You know, like I feel that's definitely.
And emerging technologies.
Yes.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Where is the future?
Right.
So, and how can, as Zimbabwe, can we also make sure that we are moving along with the times?
Right. Okay, let's come again to this work that you're doing. So we have the Women Enhancing Technology Africa. Is this a SADC thing or is it across the African continent?
Okay, so this is a network of about 33 organizations working with, in the women and STEM field in Africa.
So with this, where Zimbabwe ranks amongst other African countries. You know, sometimes we're very hard on ourselves. Some people out there are very hard on us as Zimbabwe, but you'll find that even our data charges, you know, yes, they're very high and all of that. But I want to know from you, having had this kind of exposure, where does Zimbabwe rank regarding our level of understanding, our creations, just our level of tech advancement compared to other African countries?
Okay, so I think we are really high, especially when we're looking in terms of skill set.
Right.
Zimbabwe is very high. And then much to do with, we know a lot about Kenya, Rwanda, but I think it's also about media, not portraying what's really happening in Zimbabwe.
Sure.
And there's a growing grassroots innovation movement that is happening, a lot of cool ideas and innovation that are coming up. So I think it's also a matter of how we portray ourselves, but a lot is happening.
Okay. And you are a software developer, right? Python is basically helps develop
software. So Python is used for programming. So you can build websites with it. You can build apps with it. Yes, that's basically.
How do you make money from that in Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe.
And is it making money?
For me, I mostly organize communities. That's the role I play in terms of encouraging the use of Python within Zimbabwe. I would say that developers can make money. Using Python, they can build websites, offer their services to maybe create inventions that companies can use to improve their revenues. There's so many applications for the use of Python, and
I'm going to take you one step back. My friend always says to me, explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old. So explain Python to me like I'm a 4-year-old, just as for the sake of not just me, but those watching, for appreciation of what this is.
Okay. So basically, Python is a programming language that you can use to maybe talk to a computer, I would say, and tell a computer what to do. It can tell a computer what to do or a robot what to do. And
so there's a synergy here with what...
yes, there's definitely a synergy. And basically, with Python, you can build a website on your computer, you know, through writing code, which is the language that Python is. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that well.
No, I'm getting it.
And yeah, it just is basically being able to build software on a computer. Okay. So everything from Facebook to Instagram is all built using programming, and specifically Python actually is the foundational language for companies like Instagram and Google.
So what apps have you created as you?
Personally, as I mentioned before, I'm not a programmer, so I've built websites before. I do mainly supervise other people who are building apps and things of that nature. But I have also built sort of a farming app with a group of girls that I mentor, and but I wouldn't say that's my main focus.
Okay. And I asked about the money side of it, not to, you know, look down or anything, but just more on a level of, you know, understanding what it means to make money in this industry. Because here we are trying to appeal, not just to women and girls, but to people in general to get more and more interested in IT. Hence our entire government saying we're starting a campaign called STEM. right? To focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the country because we need it. So what I want to know is this a lucrative industry to enter? I know I could speak for me, but I'm curious from your end that, yeah, you sound really smart and brainy, but is it going to make money?
Yeah, the answer, I think, is just yes. And there are a number of ways of doing it. So when you're building your app, it's not just about creating a fun app, but is it adding value?
Right.
And then there are also other things that are involved, like in terms of your market,
Yes.
business development, and all that kind of stuff, which is an area also that I feel like as technical people, we're very much excited when we build something, but we also need that support from the business side to understand, are we able to make money
from it? And is the market ready for that?
Yes. And also, the good thing about technology is you don't have like the physical barriers. You can also be working from Zimbabwe but doing work remotely. So you can actually be employed, for example, by Facebook, but still be based in Zimbabwe and doing stuff.
Right. I'm curious, and this could be a debate for another day, but more on the level of, the debate between robots and employment. Here we are living in Africa, in a continent and a country, and in fact a world where unemployment rates are higher than they have been for years. And here we are in Zim saying we want to create jobs. We are still pining over 2.2 million jobs that we were promised in the last election. And here we are talking about building robots that will do more for us, and even for companies where industry is concerned, which will cut out the middleman in a lot of ways. So what are you guys trying to do? Where are we all going to work? The more robots you create, then what must happen to the world? So, farming, manufacturing. This is all going to be substituted by robots. And then where do we work? What do we do?
So I think it's all about imagining the future that you want. And what we're doing now is creating that future. We don't wait for it to come, but we start now. So working with young people, we're already grooming up for where the world is going. Right. So we'll need those skills. And we don't want Zimbabwe to be lagging behind because we have everything that we need here. Yeah. And so as we work with the young people, we're creating the future workforce. And it's actually what we were talking about earlier on, Marlene, that it's actually even smart for them because they don't have to worry about robots taking their jobs. They're actually going to be building, maintaining, and all that kind of stuff. So the robot industry itself, yes, it will take some jobs, but it will actually create more jobs.
I think we need to just SWOT analysis of this. There's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats about these robots, okay? But you know, it's a good thing. And I'm very happy to hear from women in Zimbabwe that are making these things happen and supporting other young girls. Would love to get into a lot more detail, but for now, we're just going to take a break. We had as I said, World Telecoms Day that was commemorated by POTRAZ, and there was also Women in ICT. And we have some speeches from there that we're going to just share with you, some moments from those particular days. And within that, there's our Minister of ICT, Postal and Courier Services, Supermandi Wanzira. Then there's also the Deputy Director General of POTRAZ, who's also going to share a few words, and some young girls who are out there who just, sharing their thoughts on what they want to be when they grow up and what their understanding of IT is. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Ruvheneko Online. So there you had it, World Telecoms Day and Women in ICT Day commemorated. POTRAZ is very diligent about that, and they're very diligent about making sure that there's going to be access to all, which is a project that is being heavily supported by government. And I think all of us understand it fully and definitely endorse it. I don't think we can even imagine the fact of there being, computers being taught in schools where there's no internet access. What computer are you teaching in 2017 without internet access? So they are making every effort, POTRAZ, to ensure that, people in all parts of the country have access to these things that we do share freely here. So I want to just come back to my guests here. We have Marlene Mangami, and she was telling us about the work that she's doing. She's 25, sitting on a board with 40-somethings and above. So kudos to you, young lady. And, you basically are, working with these, kids clubs. And I know some of the kids that you're mentoring and training are as young as 9 years old.
Right, yes.
What does a 9-year-old, I mean, we laugh at how you'll give babies cell phones and tablets and they can navigate their way around more than we can in a lot of ways. So tell us about your experience with young minds at that level and IT.
Right. I would say that it's so important to get our kids involved in things like programming from such a young age. You know, some of the greats that are there right now, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, you know, these are people that started coding when they were 7 years old and are now doing amazing things.
Right.
So I found that, you know, children can grasp a lot of these ideas. You start from sort of basic programs, maybe doing games to get them used to coding, and then developing it from there. But I think that growing that potential from an early age is something that we really need if we want to see Zimbabweans leading the industry in the next couple of years.
Sure. Well, that's exciting. And I do hope that we get there. You know, we talk about greats that are everywhere else in the world. Where are our greats? You know, what are you creating? What are you coding? Challenge yourself and become something. You know, make some kind of breakthrough. There's so much that Africa needs. And I know that you were talking about the project that your robotics team is doing, which is basically creating a solution to the lack of water. So tell us a bit more about that project.
Okay, so it's basically a game design, and the students, when they are participating, they're going to work in alliances. So randomly selected, 3 teams in each alliance competing against each other. And the overall winner will have the greatest points after the matches. So this is a cross-cutting issue, and it affects everyone worldwide. It's not just Africa, it's all over. And also, like, the fresh water that we have is very little, and we don't want to see water wars coming up. So just building up so that it's in the mind of the students to think about the problems that they're having, but also how can we solve the problems. So it's actually building leadership also in them. So I'm
And
pretty...
a sense of community and responsibility.
Oh yes, oh yes. And I'm pretty sure that most of the students that are participating in this inaugural event are going to be in maybe in 10, 15 years time, part of the United Nations General Assembly. So
Oh, wow, look at that. Love it. I love that. Okay, no, well, I want to thank you both for coming to spend some time with us. I know there's lots more we could discuss, but in the interest of time, we're going to have to end it there. But I will definitely be keeping my eye out for you both and the projects that you're going to be working on. As I said, you know, we have a lot to achieve still as a country, as a continent, and even the world in general has stood together with our Sustainable Development Goals. So speaking to today's topic in particular, you know, with SDG 5 and SDG 8, where women in IT are concerned. And in this week, obviously, it's the Day of the African Child on the 16th of June, a day that we commemorate in Africa because it means a lot to us to be able to stand and say, as young people in Africa, what are we going to be known for? What are we standing for? What are we standing against? And what are we going to do to ensure that our future and our children's futures are secured, not just on the job market or on creating, but just on our general basic human rights. And those, as I said, tally with our SDGs. So we're going to now speak to a young student who's going to tell us a little bit about how she's working here with Rita regarding the robotics team that's going to be going to Washington. So we're going to have her coming on, so stay tuned for that. It's always good and inspiring to hear from young minds. So please make sure Gamchirai is waiting. She's kicking her heels and she can't wait to be on TV. So stay tuned and hear from her, and we will be right back. Back to Ruvheneko Online. I have officially the youngest guest I've ever hosted on Ruvheneko Online TV. Gamuchirai, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Fine, welcome.
Thank you.
You're so nervous. You're making me nervous. So what are we supposed to do now?
Let's just continue.
Should we sing a song?
No, it's fine.
No, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Gamchirai Neshitima is a Form 4 student at Tinwald High School, and she's here with the Rita's team. She's part of the robotics team that's going to Washington. How amazing is that?
So amazing.
Have you ever been to America?
No.
Where's
My
the
first
furthest
time.
place you've been?
I think it's Ghana. Yeah.
Ghana. Oh, you've
Yeah.
been to Ghana. What was happening there?
We're having this competition, so, you know, for a family, and I was meeting my family people, so yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so now this is Washington. This is another level.
I know.
You know, and how are you feeling? What are you looking forward to?
I'm so happy, and to be part of 160 nations, and I'm so happy to be interacting with so many people out there,
Yeah.
getting their views on robotics and everything. It's so fun.
So I hear you have a project. You have as your team?
Yes.
Mufukadzirachi.
We're building a robot that's going to separate dirty water from clean water. So the clean water will be represented by blue bowls and the contaminants by orange bowls.
Right.
So our robot is supposed to remove the contaminants from the blue bowls.
Wow. So this is something you've created as a team. How
Yes.
many are you?
We are 7.
7.
Yeah.
And how many girls on the team?
We have 3 girls and 5 boys.
Okay, so how long has it taken you to come up with this project?
We've been going for practice since March, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
And to create the design, it was really hard, I can say,
can
but
imagine.
we've come through it, and I guess we're good.
Are
We're
you
good to
from,
go.
you're all from different schools?
Yes, one from George's, and we have another from Prince Edward, Harare High, and Chinwald, yeah.
So how were you all selected?
I guess they just took from our backgrounds, like we all did robotics, and some people have a background in programming. So from that, they compiled.
Are you
the
like the
list.
best in your school? Are you being shy? Are you being humble right now? Are you like, no, they chose me because I'm the best?
Not
you know?
really, but I've been doing programming since grade 5. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
At Tinwald?
Yes.
So they offer it as a course, Kuchkoro?
Yes, it's like a club. Yeah, so you can join the
Right.
club and,
So it means you've always been interested?
Yes,
'Cause to
I
join a
have.
club, that's an extracurricular activity. I see syllabus ka?
I know.
Wakatoti wega ndo zvandinoda kuita.
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be a robotic engineer. So, to be that, I need to go through the courses, and I joined the robotics club.
And you're not intimidated by knowing that
Not
there's so many men and boys in the industry?
Robotics is not about gender. And honestly, in Africa, people believe that boys are the ones who are supposed to do anything with programming and everything. But now we get to know that we need to empower more girls to do this. And we need to show them that it's not only boys who can do this. We can do this.
Yeah, I love that energy. I love it. I mean, you can hear it from her. She's just 16, but from the age of grade 5, which is
Yes.
about 10 years old here in Zimbabwe, she has been so interested in this and has been set on this. And I mean, looking at this kind of thing, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, you're going to do well. They talk about 10,000 hours to become a master at what you do, and you're well on your way.
I am.
So what is the next thing you're going to create? If you look at Zimbabwe and you say, as Gamu, I want to create this one thing for my country.
For my country, I want more girls to participate in this. And I was thinking on my behalf personally, I've been seeing many cars, congestion and all. So I wanted to build a robot, sort of a car that can fly, so that when, like
Keep
in
talking.
terms of congestion, we can just, spread out your wings and fly.
If the traffic is too much
Exactly.
and if you're late.
Mhm.
But what
You can
happens
just
with
fly.
that? I mean, I'm actually excited about this because I'm sure many of us sitting in traffic can all agree that there have been days where we sat there and thought, if I
Exactly.
could fly, ndayindine mapapiro. Anditi, pane song, ndayindine shiri, ndayibhururuka. Anditi. I think we've all thought about that. But I mean, honestly, like how does that work practically? Because, you think there's now licensing with drones, right? With a drone, you can't just fly your drone. You've got to be licensed. There's got to be clearance, your helicopter, your private jets. So that would be similar. So it means you've got to also almost create a highway in
Exactly.
the sky, but not as high altitude.
I think we only need to make, it's more of a road, and a lane. So you just spread out your
Elevate.
wings and then you go.
You're on that road. So
Exactly.
that might be the fast lane in the future. Because we have roads now, there's all those lanes. So maybe that'll be the fast lane. I like that. You know what? I mean, I think there's so many ideas that we can get. I mean, Gamu, this is just one of her ideas as a young girl in Zimbabwe. And I'm sure there are many other people out there who want to create something, who want to build something, but they don't even have the capacity. They don't know how to do it. They don't have the finances. But if you want to support Gamu and the team, even the robotics team that's going to Washington, Aretha, is there any support that they need? But if there's any help that you want to give, whether it's an volunteer, whether it's advice, whether it's financing, whether it's guidance, whether it's IP with intellectual property, because a lot of the ideas need to be guarded. So if you want to contribute to this program, please let us know via ruvheneko.com. There's a box at the top right-hand side that says contact us. So you can contact us there with exactly what it is you might feel you want to support us with. And we'll definitely direct that to the team and to any other young women out there who want to do this. We want more gamus, huh?
Amen.
We definitely want more gamus. And what is the scariest thing you think about looking at the digital world going forward?
We might say if we introduce more robots in Zimbabwe, we fear de-skilling. Like more robots are going to replace people's jobs, but
yet the population is growing.
Exactly. So we need to make sure that this young generation is exposed to programming, and so that in the future we don't need people who will be asking for jobs. They don't have anything to do, but they need to get in touch.
So you're basically saying that you guys are going to take over the world. And if we want jobs, we have to work with you or for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You need to learn programming so that you don't have to suffer from
Do you have programming at your curriculum, Kuchikoro, in your curriculum?
Yes. If you in A-level, you can do computer science, and that's part of programming.
Okay, so they incorporate that.
Yes.
But right now, you're not yet doing programming at O-level. Okay. No, this is good. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share with the viewers out there.
All I would want to say is let's keep motivating young girls to, take part in robotics. And I'd say if you're out there and you want to take part in robotics, it's not hard. You don't have to be, so good in maths and everything, but the passion, and you need to start maybe a robotics club at your school, and from there you can take it over here.
You've heard about mentors, right? Do you have a mentor?
Yeah, we do. Our computer science teacher is our mentor, and Miss Aretha Mara is our mentor as well.
Do you know that you could also be a mentor for someone? Do you know that?
Yeah, I can, but it's kind of hard for me now since I'm only 16.
No. When you started in grade 5 at the age of 10, you probably needed a mentor that was your age, because you want someone you can relate to.
Yeah, true.
So I'm going to put a challenge on you, Gamu, and say that there are a lot of young girls. Kwamtari, Manika. And I was, robotics for holiday. Holiday, and go and talk to them and let them know about it. Because you heard from Aretha and Marlene that many people don't know what it means to go into IT.
So I think when I go to Mtari next,
you're going to find mentees.
Exactly, I'll find many people.
Is that a promise?
It's a promise.
Pinky promise. Okay, good. All right, so there you have it. That's it from us. That's some words there from Gamu. So inspiring and so driven and so encouraging to hear from a young person who's so dedicated about what she wants to be and set on that. And who are we to deny her, to be able to excel in this world? So however we can support, as I said, Ruvheneko.com is the place to contact us, and then we'll direct their attention to you through that platform. So let us know.
Kuno kune dambudziko ravanga vasingatarisi, saka nhasi vauya kuzozvionera kuti vari kuruza mari papi. Musafurirwa nekuona vanhu vachitaura netelecel neeconet nenet1 muno matiri munomu. 10 kilometers outside of this town vari kubhadhara mari kumascom yekubotswana. Vari kubhadhara mari kuorange yekubotswana because you have not put the infrastructure so that they can use Zimbabwean services. So I'm here to appeal to all the operators, the network operators, that it's time we put our money to save our people here in Zimbabwe. To save the community of Matabeleland South, to save the community of Bulilima, to save the community of Plumtree by offering Zimbabwean services. I want to say that this complaint or concern has come so many times, and I'm very glad Honorable MS Ndlovu has raised it again, kuti kuno isai matawa, so that vanhu vekuno vawane communication, vawakwanise kushandisa makambani muno, vari kutora mari foreign currency yatiri kuchema kutsvaga voenda nayo kunobhadhara vana mascom kubotswana, vana orange vekubotswana. Saka torai market yatorwa nematswana yakazara muno iyi kuti nyika yedu ite mari nemakambani enyu aite mari. Taken on face value, the theme seems quite distant from the realities obtaining in Zimbabwe, given that the subject of big data is still relatively new to most industries, institutions, and individuals. However, a closer look reveals that this is a relevant area about which Zimbabwe needs to take advantage of as we aspire for economic development, social inclusion, and national cohesion. But just what is big data? And how can developing nations like Zimbabwe generate and benefit from big data? How about an individual at their level? Can a seemingly small individual who hasn't made any big in life generate and possibly profit from big data? The answer to both questions is an emphatic yes. As generally accepted, big data is a term describing data sets that are so large or complex that traditional data processing application software is inadequate to deal with them. Challenges in dealing with such data sets include capture, storage, analysis, data curation, search, sharing, transfer of files, visualization, querying, and updating, and information privacy. The term big data also refers simply to the use of predictive analytics, user behavior analytics, or certain other advanced data analytics methods that extract value from data and sell them to a particular size of data set. There is little doubt that the quantities of data now available are indeed large, but that is not the most relevant characteristics of this new data ecosystem. Analysis of data sets can find new correlations to spot business trends, prevent diseases, and combat crime, and so on. A shining example of the use of big data for social benefits is the intervention made by the ITU on combating Ebola in Sierra Leone and other affected countries back in 2014. At the center of this multi-pronged and multidimensional approach that we have deployed in pursuit of this digital goal is the Community Information Centers, CIC's program, under which government is turning all post offices into digital learning and internet access centers. Today, I've had the honor to launch the Plumtree Community Information Center, a facility which, as government, we strongly believe will not only transform lives here in Plumtree, but will go beyond that, bring along new forms of happiness as more and more people have a taste of the digital life, the online life. May I take this opportunity to wish all those entering the online digital world for the first time a very splendid and productive journey. Online life is immersing with WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Skype, Twitter, and the whole internet just being a click away.
Honorable Minister, I must confess that this aspect we are not yet doing. It is an issue, it is an expectation of the ITU that prior to holding our commemorations, we should have these events, national programs, to reflect, to encourage debate on issues relating or surrounding the theme for the year. For instance, this year, the theme was on big data. So what we should have done actually was to have these programs nationally or even localized to the province and have sessions to discuss and feed into government policy as well as informing the ITU. So it is a matter, Honorable Minister, that we will seriously look at, and so that for future events we do this. The fourth industrial revolution builds on the digital revolution, representing new ways in which technology becomes embedded within society and even in the human body. The fourth industrial revolution is marked by emerging technology breakthroughs in a number of fields, including robotics, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles. All these technologies are based on big data. And it seems clear that data is the oil of the fourth industrial revolution. As the regulatory authority for the ICT sector, POTRAZ is not just watching by as events are unfolding. We have instead stepped up our efforts to create fertile ground for this digital revolution, for our economy, for our country. We believe that through these efforts and efforts by all stakeholders, awareness of the social and economic benefits enabled by broadband networks, applications and services have been on an upward trajectory and will remain so for the foreseeable future. Through these efforts, we should begin to see credible evidence of improved health and educational services, a better standard of living, greater empowerment, enhanced national competitiveness, all driven by ICTs as a catalyst for economic development.
And thank you to everybody who made this show possible. I'd like to thank these events for your continued support, Sonia's Events, Set and Solutions, and of course POTRAZ for giving us this opportunity to talk about such pertinent issues in women's lives and particularly women in ICT. And of course to Technomag, who went and caught up with POTRAZ and the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services when they were out at World Telecoms Day and Women in IT Day. So thank you so much to you. When we come back from the break, I'm going to bring you my final thoughts on this subject. So stay tuned. Now, talking about ICTs and the digital space in general, I know is a foreign concept to a lot of people, but the truth is we're all using technology in the world today. As we said in the program, you found that the government in Zimbabwe is rolling out a heavy campaign to ensure that everybody is connected. We all have relatives outside of the urban areas, and we all know that now we can stay connected to them. We can send money to them, we can send memories, we can send photos, we can share even memorable moments, whether it's a lobola ceremony or sadly a funeral, with those that can't make it into the country from outside the world, outside the continent. So we are grateful for the divergence that is going on in the world today. We're grateful that even in the speech we heard the Minister of ICT talking about how they're converting a lot of the post offices that are existing in Zimbabwe into digital trading centers, which means that the world is advancing. And we as Zimbabwe need to keep up. We're not as far behind as you might think. Yes, we have a long way to go, but there is hope yet, especially with the younger generation who fully understand and have fully embraced the digital space. It's not as easy to teach an old dog new tricks. I mean, I've tried to teach my own parents basic things about how to use their cell phones and their brains freeze. But the digital age is for us going downwards. And those that are going to grow up in this era need to fully embrace and fully understand it. And I'm very enlightened to hear that and very excited to hear that women in particular are not afraid to take over the space, to dominate in the space, to lead in this space and to create in this space. So let's stay supportive of it. Let's stay abreast with the trends, global trends that are going on. This very platform, our Facebook online, using our YouTube channel, using our website to broadcast this content to you is a result of where the world is going. So let's continue to support one another, and that's it from me. Good night. Be good, and if you can't be good, be safe.